Bonsoir, fellow mini enthusiasts! We got a new named champion for the Ultramarines, and if you're already screaming, why? Yeah, I get you. But let's come back to that after we take a look at his lore. Let's play a round of...
Does the mini tell the story?
Announced as a reward miniature for winning the Orc vs Space Marine voting contest, we get Kaius Konorius, who has the worst combination of initials ever, especially in French. If you know, you know. So, who is this guy? KK fought alongside Marneus Calgar and Chaplain Cassius back when all three were still neophytes. By the dawn of the Era Indomitus, he was already teaching swordmanship to younger battle brother on Macragge. And then, apparently, he fought Abaddon the Despoiler? Games Workshop! You can't just casually drop that and refuse to elaborate. That's like introducing a character with, oh yeah, he punched Angron once. Excuse me. Apparently, Kaius almost died during that duel. And afterward, Calgar personally chose him to become his champion. Is that in the Codex Astartes? Can you just do that, Calgar? Can every important Ultramarine have their best friends promoted as Honor Guard now? Apparently yes. Kaius is described as a grizzled blademaster wearing armor inspired by the Victrix Honor Guard and wielding two named weapons, Severance and Rebuke. So, does the mini tell the story?
Oh no, we lost the plot.
Okay, before you burn me at the stake, Goblin Gang, yes, this is a good miniature. I'm an Ultramarine fan, I love Bobby G, I like most Ultramarine characters, and I genuinely think this sculpt is cool. The silhouette is classic, the pose is solid, yes, we've seen plenty of dual-wielding heroes surfing tactical rock before, but it still looks very good. The Victrix Guard aesthetic works very well, it's very Roman, very Honor Guard, very Ultramarine. The helmet option is fantastic, the detailing is excellent. If I saw this miniature without a name, I'd immediately think, oh cool, a Victrix Guard captain. But this series isn't called Is This a Nice Sculpt? It's called Does the Mini Tell the Story? So let me ask you something, Goblin Gang. If I remove the nameplate, would any of us guess that this was the guy who fought Abaddon the Despoiler and survived? Because surviving a duel against Abaddon isn't just impressive, it's legendary. This is the War Master of Chaos, the guy who killed Sigismund, destroyed Cadia, carries Drachnien, has the blessing of all 4 Chaos Gods. If someone survived that encounter, I expect the miniature to carry some of that history, either as scars on the character himself or with damage on his armor. Maybe a unique honorific mark somewhere? Something that makes me stop and think, whoa, this guy has seen things. Instead, it just looks important, alright, but sorry, the aura skipped the rendezvous. And that's my problem. The miniature tells me is significant, but the lore, the article tells me is legendary.
Legendary.
Those aren't the same thing. Then we have the grizzled part. GW literally describes him as a grizzled blademaster, yet he doesn't have a single grey hair. Alright, maybe that's just the painter taking some artistic liberties. I'll let that one slide, but then we get to the weapons. And Goblin Gang, be honest, if GW hadn't told you whose weapons were named, would you have guessed? Because named relics should tell a story all by themselves. A unique silhouette, ancient craftsmanship, distinctive details, something that screams, yeah, I have my own page in the Codex. Here they're just a sword and an axe, who just happen to have names. Boo! I think part of the problem is that the lore itself feels strangely artificial, like someone started with the miniature and worked backward. Guys, look, it's really important, trust us. Because I was perfectly happy with the new Victrix Guard. I like Kaius Konorius, his history and growth as a character are so compelling. He really earned his place. I didn't need GW to suddenly remember Calgar had another best friend. Feels like Kaius is getting the job through connections. Ah, politics. Now that I rant about it, even the weapon names, Severance and Rebuke, they're certainly names. They give me big Ultramarine OC energy, and don't get me wrong, I love original characters. Half the fun of Warhammer is making your own, but here, why him? That's so confusing. When we voted during the Space Marine vs Orc campaign, I think most of us expected a Blood Angels character. The Blood Angels were all over the campaign artwork. They were the red side opposing the green tide. The poster child of the box, the obvious choice. And then, the reveal of Kaius is quietly hidden within the article about week 2 of the Siege of Deathmire, which honestly make me wonder if GW already knew this wasn't going to be the most popular miniature reveal. Personally, I'd have loved someone like Brother Corbulo, or Arenos Carlin, or honestly any established Blood Angels character. There were so many possibilities. And that's before we even talk about all the other Loyalist chapters that desperately need more named characters. Even with the Ultramarines we had options, like wasn't Farron sitting right there? The guy has an entire novel and even a miniature but no rules. Wasn't that the perfect opportunity? Heck, I even went back through the Marneus Calgar comic just to see if Kaius appeared somewhere. Surely one of Calgar's oldest friends must have shown up at least once. Nope, not once. So, I've got a little crack theory. Maybe this is setting him up for future stories. I mean, this is quite the resume, right? I'd love to read about his fight with Abaddon. But I said the exact same thing about Kravek Morne, and yeah, still waiting. Which brings me to the real reason I wanted to make this video. Kaius isn't actually the first time this has happened. Kravek Morne did the exact same thing. After the recent Iron Warriors release, I started reading more of their lore, and the more I read, the more confused I became. Because why create a brand new named Warsmith when HONSOU was like right there? Iron Warriors fan would have loved to bring him on the tabletop. Is there some disconnect between Black Library and the tabletop game? Does GW think players would be intimidated by characters with 20 years of established lore? Because I don't think anyone painting Cato Sicarius or Lucius the Eternal feels obligated to read every novel they've ever appeared in. If anything, established characters makes me more interested. I want to learn why they're important, not just be told, hey, they're important. Maybe GW has a very good reason for introducing these brand new legendary Nobodies. And if there is, and I'm completely missing it, I genuinely want to learn about it. Because for me, this is a fantastic miniature, attached to some very, very weird lore. And that's a first for this series, so please, help my smooth goblin brain understand this one. If you watched until now, you are amazing. Merci beaucoup. Oh, if you're planning your next purchase, Goblin Gang, don't forget you can support me by using my Element Games affiliate link in the description. I appreciate every single one of you, and yes, 100% of that money goes directly towards funding my ever-growing pile of shame. You can also subscribe to join our Goblin Gang and leave a like to fuel my goblin spirit with a delicious dose of dopamine. Drop 3 question mark emojis in the comments so I know you are a very special goblin who's just as confused as I am. And as always, bonne chance with your hobby les amis.